The Shepnaz Podcast begins now.
Welcome to the Shepnaz Podcast. I'm Joe, and I'm your host today. And today we're going to focus on our one-for-one ministry for the month of July. If you're unaware, on Sundays at both Johnstown and Gahanna and our online campuses, we do a thing called one-for-one, where if for every person that attends, we count those people and $1 is given on their behalf to a local or global ministry that we'd like to support. And for the month of July, we're focusing on LifeWise, and we have with us some people from LifeWise, but what's the great thing is that they're all in one way or another associated with Shepherd Church, and we're going to bring them in and kind of discuss what is LifeWise, what's it doing, where's it going, where's it been, all those kinds of things. So welcome in, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yep, that's where you can say yes, hi, and all that kind of stuff. All right, so first of all, we have with us, I'll make sure you can see them. It is Brenda Jefferson over here, and then I'm going to switch, and you can see Matt Hayes and Angela Young, who has told us that she does not really want to talk. She just wants to sit there and smile, so we'll let her sit there and smile for a little bit. But first of all, I guess we'll start with, if we can talk a little bit about, for those that aren't aware, what is LifeWise Academy? So who was the designated person that's going to tell me what is LifeWise?
I'll go ahead as the program director here in Gahanna. We are a release time religious instruction program. So what it is parents sign their kids up. We take kids out of public schools, or we can accommodate homeschool students as well. And during the school hours, we take them off-site and we go through the Bible in about 4 years for elementary school students. We try to tie every single lesson to some kind of character development trait, be it honesty, dependability, sacrifice, responsibility, things like that. And yeah, the kids usually have a lot of fun. And they get to learn about Jesus the whole time. So we're really excited about this ministry and really what we can do to serve the community here in Gahanna.
Now, you mentioned that you're kind of the Gahanna director. So I'm assuming from that there's a lot of different regions. Could you talk a little bit about kind of where LifeWise is right now as far as in the different areas, that kind of thing?
Yeah, right now we are in, we're going to be operating in 26 different states. We started back in 2018, and we grew rapidly. We're going to be in over 1,000 schools this coming fall. So really, it's a national ministry. It's reaching thousands and thousands of kids, and it's just doing a lot of good work across our entire country, really.
Now, I know one of the foundational points is that this religious instruction has to be off-site from a public school.
Correct.
So walk us through a little bit of the mechanics of how that happens. Like, how do we get the kids out of the school? Where do they go? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so we have just a ton of church partners here in Gahanna, at least. Tons of churches are excited really about hosting different schools. Gahanna is a little bit unique in that we're a pretty big district, but we're really spread out throughout the area. So the idea with a lot of these programs is you want to have a church or some sort of site that's either in a Christian, a paraministry association or something like that, or even some programs just rent out a community center if that's what it requires. But the idea is you want somewhere close to each school so that you can transport the kids. Now that's a big factor here in LifeWise is people recognize the big red buses that have the LifeWise branding on it. And so we transport the kids. We coordinate with the schools because we have to take attendance. So the schools know what kids we have, what kids we don't. And then we bring them back. Usually, we've usually got a quick turnaround. So we don't want to take these kids out for multiple classes or things like that. So we have here in Gahanna, for example, we're going to be doing elementary during lunch and recess because those are usually stacked one on top of the other. So we have to be pretty efficient with how we get the kids onto our bus, take them to another site, and then go through the lessons and try to have fun. Make sure the kids really enjoy themselves.
Sure.
So that's part of the challenge, but part of the fun is taking them off site. So it's kind of how they work, and we'll be excited to just, as we expand from each school to just grow our network of churches. We've got a lot that already are excited about hosting, others that I know are potentials. And so, it's going to be a great way to really join the greater Christian community here in Gahanna.
It seems like nowadays less and less kids actually get on a public school bus. So I'm sure it's kind of fun for some of them that wouldn't normally be on a bus. Maybe mom or dad or someone drops them off from their family at school. And so to be able to get on a school bus and go somewhere is probably a little bit of a treat for some of them. We were going to talk a little bit also about kind of, we hear what LifeWise is now, but obviously it hasn't always been that. So, Brenda, if you could tell us a little bit about how LifeWise has developed, kind of where the origins are and where it came from, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Excuse me. LifeWise in Gahanna here, we like Matt had just mentioned, we're just launching this calendar school year. However, we have been kind of planting the seeds and putting boots on the ground for the past, I would say, for myself, 2 years. But even prior to me joining the committee, it's been a long, kind of extended process. Yeah. So probably the best, the better half of 4 years or so. RTRI has been a established program that schools have a policy for since I think 1962 or something, very long standing. But LifeWise came to fruition, like Matt had said, in about 2018. And then Ohio started growing and expanding over the course of time. And then like I said, locally here, it's been a marathon, not really a sprint. And so we've been laying the groundwork for that. Myself, along with many other steering committees, spreading the news and getting parents interested. Myself, I learned about LifeWise through one of my good friends who I went to high school with. So she's a New Albany school teacher. And as I was thinking about where do I put my kids for school as they were becoming school aged, I was very much like, this is really landing in my heart. And I really wanted my kids to have a Christian component with their education as they're away from school every single day. I wanted to kind of to hold hands with the education component, along with what we're teaching at home. And so when I was out with my friends for like a happy hour or something, and my friend was talking to me about LifeWise because New Albany had it at the time. And I was just like, my goodness, this is something I have got to get, be a part of. And then I just felt God like really stirring in my heart how I have this real strong desire to just love on kids and wrap my arms around kids so that they know how much they're loved by Jesus. So this is kind of how I became a part of the steering committee for LifeWise. But like I said, for Gahanna specifically, it's been a extended process. There was some opposition, as you can imagine, within the Gahanna community, but also a lot of support too. And so it's finding that those people who you can hold hands with and try to grow the program. Eventually, there was a bill that was passed. You might have heard about the bill within the House that was passed just this year, which changed some of the language for RTRI that allowed every district to have a policy instead of revoking that policy. So they didn't have an option. So that's kind of how LifeWise is now in Gahanna, and we'll be having our inaugural year this year.
Wonderful. So I know that there's been a lot of ebb and flow. You've got the Supreme Court case law on your side,
yes.
But there is a difference, if for those that are listening, there's a difference between case law and kind of revised code. And
sure.
And so now that's part of the state of Ohio that says this is the way it has to be. It's not really up for interpretation anymore.
Correct.
And previous to that, the argument could be made, but it seemed like schools were kind of picking and choosing. And I understand, as you're listening, if you're involved in public schools, if you're teaching in public schools, if you have students, we understand that there are struggles with, if I let this group in, then I've got to let every group in. And even though you might like LifeWise, you might not like some of the other groups that come in as a result. Mm-hmm. And that is part of the consideration and part of the struggle. But that's also part of, parent choice and living in a free society. And so that doesn't take away from our rights to be able to promote a program like this. And the great news is we actually have the Spirit of the Lord that is pushing this program. So if other people want to try to, advance their agenda, have at it. I don't think you're going to have the Lord's push
Amen.
Behind it, so that's okay. Little competition doesn't bother me. So I think that'll be great. All right, so Angela, let's get you in on this conversation.
Couldn't just let me sit here.
Before we wrap up today, so we kind of know that how Matt are involved and Brenda's involved. How did you become involved in LifeWise and kind of an advocate in that way?
I think it's the same as Brenda, just passion for kids, character development. I kind of lean towards sports and character development, but definitely just getting the gospel in their ears so that, when the world kind of falls apart for them, they have somewhere to go back to or run to. And so I think just making sure that the stones are out there, foundation is laid, they can grab those seeds when they're ready.
And Matt, let's go back a little bit to kind of, we talked a little bit about how the day-to-day goes. For those that are interested, is this something that happens every day? Does it happen a few times a week? Kind of talk about that a little bit, if you would.
So for those interested, I will say the harvest is plenty and the workers are few. We have a great opportunity here with Gahanna wanting the schools to do LifeWise during their lunch and recess. It kind of, there's a little bit of a balancing act. So we have 7 elementary schools here in Gahanna, 3 middle schools, and 1 high school. And we're excited about a potential partnership for the older students that we can talk about at a later date. But for the elementary school, we really want to service all 7 of these elementary schools. And there's a pressing need. I mean, nothing more important than the good news. So we're going to have probably several different programs operating simultaneously for that lunch hour. And we have a lot of churches they're happy on board, happy to host students for several days out of the week or even all 5. And so, what we're going to end up having is a lot of 1-hour period classes where if you're able to volunteer an hour of your time a week, we'll use you. If you're able to donate 5 1-hour shifts a week, we'll definitely use you. We really have a need, and we just want to serve and love on these kids and pour into them the good news and really help them learn to walk worthy of their calling in the Lord. So, if you're hearing this and you're interested in teaching, volunteering, driving, even if you just want to kind of be a classroom aide and pray with these kids at the beginning, because a lot of classes, they'll break up into smaller groups with, a few kids per one adult. So really, if you want to help serve our community and reach these kids with the gospel, let us know and we'll find a use for you.
And if you would just kind of speak a little bit to like if someone's interested in teaching, how they would get a hold of you, and kind of if there's minimum qualifications or anything like that they would, people might be wondering, can I do it or not?
Yeah. So our website is lifewise.org/GahannaOH. And hopefully we can kind of include like a URL in the
we'll put that
podcast
in the comments.
description.
Yep.
And then my email address is on there. You can always contact me directly and we can figure out what the right fit is, but you can apply for volunteer, you can apply for a teacher, you can apply for driver. Now with teacher, the LifeWise teacher is the head of the classroom, and it is a big responsibility and a fairly big commitment. So we ask that if you apply, you're going to have teaching experience to some degree, and that doesn't mean we can't use class volunteers and even have substitute teachers. And there's just a never-ending list of different uses that you can really help us with here in LifeWise. And even if it's not something you can do on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, we love champions, we love ambassadors, anyone who can really help spread the word about LifeWise to parents, to donors, to other volunteers, to other churches. We're happy. We're not going to turn anyone away. So
a lot of work to be done. Right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, we're going to leave it there for today. And tomorrow, we're going to get a little bit more into maybe some of your personal stories and how it was that you came to LifeWise and how you felt God calling you to that. We encourage you again, if you are interested in LifeWise, go to lifewise.org/GahannaOH and take a look at what's going on there and how you can volunteer. And there's some other things you can do as well that we'll talk about tomorrow. In the meantime, you can also check out everything that's going on in the church by going to Shepnaz.org. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For everyone at LifeWise, I'm Joe. Have a great day. This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.